Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this video is for the developers or those who are starting their journey in coding or want to learn the version control. So this video is for them. So in this video, I'll be discussing how you can utilize the VS Code and Git and the various extensions, various shortcuts. I'll be showcasing you along with it various commands, what is the difference, where to use which command. So all those things will be there in this complete demo with the hands-on, so you can easily understand the difference between the various commands and where and when to use which command. So I will be walking you through all those things through the VS Code extensions also, as well as some shortcuts, as well as essential Git commands. I will try to cover all the commands, and if I miss something, you can just put it in my video comment section so I can just add it on. But I will try my best to cover all the commands. So before we proceed, let's move on to the VS Code. There we will set up everything initially and how we are going to run these commands. I'll be showcasing you. Now, those who haven't installed the Git, they can download it. Those who don't have the VS Code, they can download the VS Code. And the most important thing that we need to take care is the path. So I'll just show you one just small example over here. Let me move on to the VS Code. So you can download the Git version over here. So for all the local version control that we want to maintain, we can utilize this Git. So later on, I will showcase you how we can switch to the GitHub and all, how we can utilize the GitHub. So once you have downloaded this and install it, so make it sure there is environment variables. So if you go to this environment variables over here, you can see the path over here. So this path is very important. So if not, most probably when you install it, it get added automatically. If not, you need to add it manually. So just take care of this. So as I was telling you, once you have done it, so we can just go to our VS Code. So I have just created a folder and I've added one sample HTML file. So I'll be showcasing you all the examples of various commands of Git with this file itself. So let's start. So let's check in order to confirm like whether the Git is being installed or not. So I will just use git-version. So this is the Git version being installed. So if you want to check the path, where.exe git, so it will give you the location where it is being installed. Now here, the most important thing, that git config, that is very important in order to be set up before we proceed with any other functionality. So you can see over here, once I did git config -- list, so it will show you the default settings, what are the user email, what is the username. So all those things are being mentioned over here. Even I can set up my default branch. So by default, when we create a branch with the create initiate a git, it creates a master branch. So I can also set it default to the main. Let me just click end over here. So if you haven't configured it initially, so you can just, now here again, two things are there. If you want to set it globally for all the repos, you can just set it like -global. So I've already set it up. So if you haven't done, you need to set it up initially. So you can just put your name. So I'm not executing this. I'm just showing you how we can configure it. If I execute this, it will just override. There is no harm in executing this. So this is how you can set it up for the global, for considering all the repos. But similarly, along with this command, this will set the username. Similarly, you need to mention user.email. So these two commands will set up the username and email. When we make a commit, so it will record that username and email. So similarly, if you want something to be set at the repo level, so we can just simply mention like git config, and we can mention, instead of global, we will just mention over here user dot name. So this is how, but we need to make sure you go to that respective path of the repo, and then you can configure. So now, as currently I'm working at this VS Git demo, so it will set up the username and email. If I execute without global, it will add the username and password for this, username and email for this particular repo, not for any other projects or repo I'm creating over here. So you can see over here, if I go to this folder, there is nothing is over here. So the very first thing, we need to initialize this in order to initialize the Git in our project. So we will just write git init. So you can see it has initialized the empty Git repo. So the next thing that we have to do over here, git status. So you can see over here, we don't have any commits, but we have the file added. That name is sample.html. So we have to use the commit in order to include what to be committed. So nothing added to commit, but untracked files present. So we have to use the git add. So if I want some specific file, I can mention the specific file, or just if you want to use add dot, it will include, basically it will stage all the changes whatever I have made. So currently initially I just had the HTML file. So basically it is staging that particular file for the commit. So now if I press over here git status over here, you can see on branch master. So a master branch has been created, and we have the new file, and it is in green color that need to be staged. So if you want to remove, you can just use a git rm command in order to unstage that particular file, but we will look into those things later on. Now next thing I will be executing over here, let me clear it. So again, git status. So you can see over here we have the new file. Then I will use git commit -m. So I can put it over here, initial code push. So if I check over here, git branch, you can see it is giving me the master branch. So what I will do over here, just if you want to set it up like initial domain, so by default the main branch, I will just change it to git branch -m main in order to sync with my GitHub. So I'm just using the main. So I'm basically renaming the main master to the main. So now if I use this git branch, you can see there's a main over here. So this is how we can utilize in order to rename the master branch into the main. Now what we are going to do, let's create a feature branch. So basically, like if you are talking about the environments and all, so we can like have a main, and we can have a development branch from which the things can be moved to this to the test environment or the staging environment, or we can have like a feature branch on which a particular developer will be working. So this is like how we can like segregate each developer their work, and how we can take the changes from that particular developer and merge those changes into the main. So ultimately our main source of truth will be the main. So we are not going to touch that main. So let's say I will create over here a feature branch. So if you want to delete also, you can delete the branch. But before that, let's use the git switch -c. So I'm just creating a feature br1. So you can name it anything. So you can also use a git checkout -b. So this is the switch command also, you can do it. So you can see over here git branch. So we have a feature branch one. So currently I'm checked out into the feature branch. Now let's create another one, feature branch delete. So if I use the git branch, you can see I'm checked out into git feature branch delete. So if you want to delete it, git branch -d our feature del. There's a spelling mistake. Cannot delete used by the work tree. So let's do one thing. Let me clear first. Let's say git branch, and I will just do a checkout, git checkout feature br1. Now I will run git branch -d feature br del. So this branch has been deleted successfully. So let me check over here, great branch. So now we have only the two branches. I hope it is clear. So we did the git commit and we just created the feature branch in order to work on it. And this is how we can easily keep our main source of truth. Like restore, we can easily keep it in order to go back or revert, we can do it easily. So you can see over here, these changes I'm doing it locally. Now what we are going to do over here, we will connect the local Git to the GitHub. So if you're having a GitHub account, you can just log into it and we will just create a repo over here. So let's create a new repo. So I will just write it over here, git demo vs. So this is optional. Let's keep it private. If you want to keep it private, you can keep it private. So no need of initializing this repo because we have already initialized. No need of adding the README because we have already, our local repo is already there. So this is a repo being created. Now the thing is that either you can go with GitHub and just clone it, empty a repo, then you can start working on it. So by default, the link will be there between the origin, remote origin, and the local. So here in this scenario, what we are doing, we are in the VS Code locally. So we created a GitHub repo, and then we are going to connect our local with the GitHub. So we will connect the local Git to the GitHub. So we can use the clone if we are going in GitHub flow. Let's create a repo over here. So you can use the same name or you can, whatever you want, you can utilize it. So I will copy this. You can just see the commands down there. So you can see over here, create a new repo in the command line. And then they're telling you to initialize branch. So you can, in order to rename it to the main. So we will be using this last two. So basically we will be performing this operation rather than creating this locally. So let's copy this one. So we will go to the VS Code over here. So we will say that git remote add origin and then we'll, okay, it's already there. That's it, added. Then we already renamed that one. So we do not have to do anything. Let's do it over here, git push. Now when you run this git push, it will give you some message over here. Now you can see over here, I was working on the feature branch and I'm trying to push this. So let me do one thing. Let me git checkout. You can do anything, no issues with that. You can check out to the feature branch and then you can push the code of the feature branch. So it is fine, no issues with that. So I will just do git checkout main. Then I will just use the git push. Same I will be getting over here. So basically here we need to set an upstream in order to push the current branch and set the remote as upstream. So you can just git push -u origin main. It's your wish, whatever you want to run. So this is done. So you can cross check over here your code, whether it's being reflected or not. So you can see over here, we have the HTML code over here, initial code, and this is the commit ID. Now we'll talk about those things when we will have the extensions of GitLens and also you can visualize those commit IDs, who did what. So I'm not going to talk that one now. Now, the next thing that we have to do over here, let's say, now if you see over here, the interesting thing over here, you can just see only one branch. View all branches, just we have only the one branch because I didn't push that, the feature branch. So if you want to push that, git checkout feature year one. So similarly, I will just put over here git push. So it will tell me to set up the upstream. So we will refresh over here. We can see the branches over here. You can see the active branch, that is feature branch one. Now coming back to this. So now the most important thing, I'll just showcase you some content. Let me switch on to the content so we can then later on do the practical on that or demo on it. So this is how, so basically this is how we connected the GitHub with our local Git, and how we set up the remote origin, how we will push the content from our local to the GitHub. Let's see some content over here. So most of the time, the people will get confused with what is git commit versus git push. So git commit is like we are writing in our diary, or we are writing some notes, or we are writing some code in our local machine that we feel that it is very productive, or we are making some changes as per the request or as per the user stories being provided to us. So we are working on it locally on our computer. So we are doing multiple commits as we are finishing one module or two modules. We are just making a commits to it. But Git push is something like, you're pushing like it's simply like posting something on X or Instagram. So there you're giving a shoe like you're telling to the outside world, hey, see, we have posted some new feature and all. So basically, there's how we can share on the GitHub to everyone. So that's how the difference between Git push, you're pushing to the remote repo and letting the other people know that these are the changes being done. So, but the Git commit, that is the locally that you're doing it on your particular code that is still in your machine locally. Now, the next very important thing that people have the difference what is git fetch actually doing, when to use git pull and when to use git fetch. Now, when we say git fetch, so basically it's going to the GitHub, knocking the door over there and looking, do you have any updates? So those updates don't apply basically. So like it is like, suppose you created some new branches and all, you created some new commits in the remote origin, but it doesn't change anything in your local. So this one I will show you a small example. Similarly, the pull. So pull is basically it is pulling those changes from the GitHub to your local repo. It does change. So basically, in the git pull, we are doing a fetch along with a merge. So we are fetching the repo branch details, the commit details, and merging it locally to our code. So we can say that git fetch is like checking if pizza is on the way or not, and git pull is like opening the door and eating it. So when to use and where to use? So we can use git fetch if we want to see what changed before merging, and git pull when you're ready to update your local code with the changes from the remote. So this is a key difference that you need to understand when to use the git fetch and when to use the git pull. Let's do a small example for this. Let's check which branch we are, git branch. So I'm working on the feature branch over here. Now let's do something over here, like we will go to the GitHub over here. So let's create a new branch over here. I will just name it as, let's say, feature br GHub. So in order to differentiate, so I'm creating this branch based upon the feature branch, another branch based upon the feature branch, and click create branch. So this is my branch over here. Now let's say in this sample.html file, so let's say I will add over here something. Let me click on the edit over here. So I'll just mention over here, let's say h1, let's say fetch versus pull. So I will commit these changes. Commit. So I did the changes to my feature branch GitHub, and I have added this content over here. Now I'll move on to the VS Code. Now again, if I write it over here, git branch, my branch is not shown. So as I mentioned to you, we'll fetch everything, but it will not make any local changes. So you can see currently I'm not into that branch. Let me move the terminal a little bit. Okay, now I hope it is clear. Now here I will just write it over here, git fetch. So when I do the fetch over here, let me clear a little bit. You can see some messages are there. So if I do git branch, so let me run again, git fetch. So you can also check git branch -r in order to check the remote. So now what we are going to do, now this branch, once we do the git fetch, it will get the information. Then we can utilize, you might have seen when I run the fetch command initially, it shows me the feature branch GitHub is there being added. So we can just simply do GitHub, git feature branch GitHub. So you can see we have been switched. Now you can see over here, I switched on to this branch, but where are the changes? So we need to use git. So this is what the difference between git fetch and git pull. So you can see it is pulling the changes. So we have already been updated. Let me check over here. Let me close this and open it again. Save. So you can see we are getting the message that content cannot be saved because, okay, don't save. So let's load it again. So you can see over here, fetch versus pull. So this is how we can use the pull in order to pull the changes. So it's already, once we check out, it already brought that changes to local. So the next thing that we will look into it like merge and rebase. Now when to use the merge and when to use the rebase. So let's do one example. So now this one git merge versus git rebase. So let's say we have two friends writing a story. Imagine like there is Alice and Bob is there. Alice has written chapter 1 to 3 that is on the main branch, and Bob has created a feature branch and write chapter A and B. Now both of them have done work separately. Time to combine together. We will use the git checkout and we can merge those changes using. So basically, it creates a new commit called a merge commit. But in case of rebase, we basically check out the feature and we just rebase. Now, better, I will show you one small example like some changes we will made on the feature branch, but again the main branch was getting updated in midway. So in order to put those changes on the top of the new main branch, we use the git rebase. So better, let's see example in the VS Code so we can easily understand this. So commit is a git merge is straightforward. Whatever changes you have in the feature branch, you can create a pull request and you can just merge it. So I'm not going into the pull request and all. So I'll just show you just how we can merge it. So let's say git branch. So I'm currently on the feature branch GHub. You can see these are the changes. Now you're seeing this some nice GUI over here in order to showcase like who made changes when it was being done. So this is with the help of GitLens. I will show you later on those extensions. Now we are on the feature branch from we created in the GitHub. Now let's git checkout feature branch 1. Now in this branch, I don't have this change fetch versus pull. It is in the GitHub branch. So I'll just create git checkout. So now you can see the change has been removed from here. Now I want to merge that change into my feature branch 1. So what I will do over here, I'll just mention over here git merge feature via GHub. So basically I check out into the feature branch 1 and then I'm merging feature via GHub. So this will merge, so you can see the changes has been merged to this branch. You can see over here, it is coming over here, fetch versus pull. Now, if you check this changes over here, so if you see over here, currently I'm in, so you can see the commit ID over here, 9E. And also if you see I'm on the feature branch 1, but if I check it over here, let's say feature branch, you can see the changes are not here. So those changes are not there. So what we have to do over here, we have to git push, we have to use. So I'll just mention over here git push So you can see the changes are being pushed with this commit ID. So let's refresh over here. So you can see the changes has been there. Now this is all about like how we can merge the changes from one branch to another. But the most important thing is rebase, where to do the rebase. So for that, let me do one thing. Let me go to the main branch. So do watch it. So properly like where we can use a rebase and how does it happens. Let's say I will do a checkout to the main branch. So let me check Git branch. So I'm in the main. Now let's say, let me make some change over here. Let's say H1. Let's say I'm writing over here. Let's say this change is AA. I'm naming it as a AA. I will just do a commit. So how to do it? Git status. So you can see it is being modified. So next I have to add git add dot. Similarly, I will just write git commit -m. I'm just keeping the message AA in order to, when we will using the GitLens, so you can see the linear way how this rebase works. So we can see a linear history where the feature branch commits after the latest changes from the main. So like it will be like pretending like both arrived together in a line. So let's see. So I've committed this. Similarly, I will just make another change over here. So I'll just, let me do a copy paste. I can just type it over here. It's a BB, Control S. I don't want the C part. So now I will just run it again, status, add, and then BB. So let's visualize it. So if you don't have the extension of GitLens, you can just go to the extensions and you can enable this GitLens. So you can view it over here. You can see file blame, heat map, and all those things are coming over here. You can have extension over here, additional view. You can see GitLens. So I'm using the community version. You can see over here. Currently, it's showing the main branch, and these are the changes that are being made. And you can see how from the initial code push, a feature branch was being created and how these branches are being merged together to form this commit ID. So this is quite easy to understand. You can even see over here, it is showing you the tree over here, like working tree, how many changes were being made, who was the author and all. So all those things are being mentioned over here. So you can just click on this and you can just have a visual chart preview, and you can go back to the over here and you can see you can do the push. You can create a pull request in order to merge from the feature branch to the main branch. You can also start work on an issue and all, and you can see what are the recent changes being done. It's quite interesting. You can explore by yourself. There are lots of, I can say, like we have like we can open changes with the previous revision. We can have file annotations. So lots of things are there. We can have file heat, which file was being like changed and all. It will give you all the details. So once you click back, it will just disable it. So you can see in the main, we have now AA and BB as my commits. I will just switch back to my terminal. Let me clear my terminal over here. Now what I'm going to do over here, I'll create a feature branch. Let's say git switch -c. Let's say feature via 2. So we have created this branch. Now let's do some commits to this branch. So you can see it contains the changes that were there in the main because we created a feature branch from the main. So let's say I'm adding over here some more over here. Let's say CC, and let me do one by one. This auto generation H1 CC. So here also I will just make 2 commits. So I'll just quickly do git add dot and git commit -m. So I'm just marking it as a CC. Similarly, I will do one more change over here. So again, git add dd over here. So these changes are being made. So if I want to push, I can push it to the remote, but I will just show you locally how we can do a rebase. Now, if you see in the GitLens over here, now currently I'm in this particular feature branch, so you can see it clearly over here. So these are the main ABB, then after the CCDD changes were being made. Now I will go back to the terminal over here. Now I will do a checkout to the main branch. Now here I have checkout to my main branch. So our main branch is ahead to publish your local commits. So I'm not doing that. Let's do one thing. I will just make some more change. So I'll just use some, let's say H1. So I'll just put it over here, star. So in order to differentiate. So I'll just do over here, git add, git commit. So it will be between A, B, then star, C, D. So I have done this commit in the main branch. So if you want to see over here, GitLens. So this is how it is. The feature branch 2 is here, and you can see the main is here. So it should be AABB, then star, then CCDD. So this is how we are going to rebase it in order to have a nice linear history. So when our feature branch commits will come after the latest changes from the main. So let's move on to the terminal over here. So let's say git checkout feature br2. Now I will mention over here a git rebase main. Git rebase main. So you can see over here it has been successfully rebased. So if you're having some merge conflicts and all, you need to resolve that if you're making changes at the same location, same file. So, but I was using a different location, so you can see over here. So this is our main and the feature branch history over here. Currently, I'm in the feature, so you can see A, B, B star, C, C, D. So this is a quite interesting. I hope you got like how where to use the merge and where to use the rebase in order to have a nice linear history. So where we, feature commits come after the latest changes from the main. So these were the changes that were being made, so the star, after that CC and the DD. So this is how you can have our merge and rebase. Now there are some other commands also there. So please utilize this GitLens in order to see the difference, how this is working and all. Now if I go back to the terminal, I will just clear this one. Now there are many other commands also there, like revert and all. Even if you are getting some merge conflicts or something, you can revert or abort the rebase of the main or whatever branch you were doing it. So we can also add in this just an add-on. Like I'll just showcase you. Suppose you are having over here, let's say a file. Let me expand this one. Let's say abc.txt, my password. So this is the file that we are having over here. So we can add over here, git add. While doing a commit, while merging, we can ignore certain files or specific file or folder or everything that is inside a folder in order to be part of our version control. So we can just add a git ignore file dot ignore, or we can just simply, we need to add it over here. You can use a touch command in order to write it. So you can see the symbol over here, git ignore, has been added. So we can add like this, git ignore, and then we can add some commit if we want. Now in this one, you can mention the file name, let's say abc.txt, and save it. So I'll just do a git add, and then I can just do a commit -m. You can see over here git ignore added. So I'm just working on the feature branch over here. So if you want to see, you can push it and it will ask you for the upstream. Yes. So we can verify with our GitHub. Let me refresh over here. So you can see over here, the abc.txt file is not being here. So this is how we can utilize the git ignore in order to avoid any unwanted files getting added to this tracking. So even for the different technologies like .NET, Java, and all, they are predefined. Even though if you're using a Visual Studio IDE, by default, when we add all the like bin, debug, these folders are being excluded from the commit, even for the logs and all. So another interesting thing that we can do over here, like even we can see some git log. So these are the logs are there with the commit IDs. Now, why these logs are important? So we suppose if we want to revert some commit, now, just now I did some commit, right? So if you see in the GitLens, so I'm in the git ignore file added. So let me do one thing. I will add some more over here. So let me clear it. So git branch, so I'm in the feature branch too. Let me add something here. Let's say sample revert, Control S. So add git commit revert test. So this is done. Now, if you see over here in the GitLens, so we have over here revert test. So I will just revert it back to my previous commit. You can copy that particular commit. You can use this GitLens or you can just check it from the logs. So you can copy this one. So in the terminal, I'll be mentioning over here git revert. Now there is a restore command also there. So if we want some file changes to be restored back, so you can use a git restore, and you can use git reset if you want to, like suppose you were making some changes but now the changes you don't want anymore, so you can just reset the head in order to unstage those files. So I'm just mentioning over here git revert, this one. So new or something message, let it be this Windows WQ. So you can see it went back to that particular, you can see it has delete mode. So basically it went back to that. So it just reverted it back to that particular commit ID where we have added the git ignore file, it deleted that. So if you go to, so we have to choose the, basically I would have choose this one. So rather than choosing the previous commit ID. So this is how we can use the revert, and you can use the reset hard, but it will erase all the commit. So make it sure if you mention git reset, it is very harmful. It will remove all the history. So it will just remove everything. So that was a few things, like you can see over here, my git ignore is being, so I can just add it one more time. Or we can take it from the other branch, I think, but I didn't do a merge to the main. I didn't add it. Anyhow, git ignore, and that's it. So these were all the commands that we like most frequently use in order to version control. So I hope you understand the basic difference between a fetch, a pull, and merge, a commit, as well as rebase the branch, and we can merge the changes from one branch to another. So we can see with the commit IDs which branch is ahead of which one. So you can see over here, the most interesting part over here, even if I'm using the GitLens and all, I can easily switch between the branches and all. Moreover, you can see over here, let's say you can use the VS Code. So you can see the file history. We can open the terminal and all. We can do lots of things from the VS Code itself. So it's not something like we cannot do, but we can do. So you can see over here, this is coming from the GitLens. So you can see lots of things are there. So try to explore this GitLens and all. There is a Git graph is also there. So GitLens, if you it is basically enhancing your capabilities with a VS Code and get a more clear picture about your branches and who did what. So once we hover over it, we can see the author, commit message, date, who modified, and with the comment message. So we can also use the Git graph. So in the extensions, you can utilize it. But I feel like GitLens is enough, and there are many other extensions like Prettier, Live Server in order to run the applications, then the brackets and all. So no need of that much, but I think this GitLens community version is enough in order to explore. So there are a few shortcuts also that I would like to share with you guys, along with a few key things that we need to keep in mind when we are using merge. So a very important thing when we are working with a merge and rebase. So in terms of history, when we want to preserve the full branch history, making sure you're doing a git merge. But like if you want to rewrite in a linear fashion, like we did with the feature branch, and then uh, we brought those changes using the rebase to the main, so we can do a git rebase. But if you want to commit log, we show the merge commits, we use git merge. If you don't want to do all the merge commits and all in order to make it look more cleaner and all, so we can use the rebase. Safe for shared branches, git merge. Risky if we are rebasing the shared branches. And when we are collaborating with others, best option is to use the git merge. But when we won't have a clean pull request before merging and all, we can use a rebase. So just basically, if you want to remove the dirty commits and all those things, we can use the rebase. So use it wisely, git merge and rebase. The next thing, as we discuss restore and revert, so we can undo any changes to the file. So we can restore the file to the last commit state. It doesn't affect the history. So just in your working directory, you can undo something before it is being saved. So we can do a past commit also. So remember that when we are reverting it, or we can record the fix with so basically when we are restoring, it doesn't create a commit, but when we are doing a revert, it creates a new commit that undo the changes from the commit. So save for shared branches, no history rewrite. It doesn't even remove the old commit, it adds a new one onto it. So that's the major difference between restore and revert. So you can also view git show, you can see the commit ID. So in order to view, as I mentioned, git reset, it don't do a hard reset. So it will rewrite the history, discard all the changes. Now you can remember this just in short. What does this restore, revert, and reset do? So depending upon your use case, whether you're working in the teams, whether you're having some previous commits and all, so we can accordingly work on it. So quick tips, these are Control Shift P in order to open the command palette and all, file search, split editor, open the terminal, and format the code. So these are basic shortcuts that we can use in the VS Code. So or else no need of remembering this. We can have it over here. If you place the cursor, you can see most of the times the shortcuts are given over here, so you can utilize it. So I hope you got a clear idea about how we can use Git, GitHub, and you can, like, suppose if you're working with the GitHub, you can just create some, or you want to collaborate and all, you can clone, and you can create your own feature branch, and you can send a pull request in order to merge to the uh, their main branch. So basically, there will be a pull request. The reviewer will review your changes, whether your changes are not affecting the existing code and all code and functionalities. Then only it will accept. So this is how we can collaborate. So okay, that's all. So you can utilize this VS Code along with Git. I hope you like the video. Do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.